Okay, let's unpack this. We've been diving deep into this stack of sources you shared with us, all about the incredible world of movies.
Yeah.
Whether you're watching in a packed theater or just scrolling on your phone, movies are everywhere, aren't they?
Absolutely everywhere.
They seem simple, maybe just entertainment on the surface, but your sources, they reveal something much deeper, I think.
Well, what's fascinating here is exactly that complexity. I mean, your material really shows that movies are powerful mirrors.
Mirrors, how so?
They reflect cultures, they tell stories about very specific places, they even influence how our brains actually work.
Right.
So our mission in this deep dive, pulling from what you sent us, is really to zero in on the most important insights, maybe some surprising nuggets too, just to get you properly well-informed on global cinema, and fast.
Absolutely. And diving into these sources, one of the first things that jumps out is, well, the origin story. It wasn't just one person or one place, was it?
No, not at all. It's easy to think that way. While the Lumiere brothers often get the spotlight, for their public screening in Paris, 1895, showing those early films.
Those actualities.
Exactly. But the sources also point clearly to Thomas Edison over in the U.S. He was developing his kinetoscope around the same time, creating these initial sort of motion picture experiences. So it was an idea that was kind of brewing in multiple places almost simultaneously.
And what's striking, according to these sources anyway, is how quickly it all became a global thing.
Oh, incredibly fast.
We're talking cinema halls popping up from Paris to Buenos Aires, Johannesburg, Bangkok. It feels like almost overnight.
It does. But here's where, as you said, it gets really interesting. It wasn't just a Western story spreading outwards.
Yeah, that's key.
That's a crucial insight from your sources, definitely.
No.
While Hollywood quickly became, dominant, other regions were establishing their own industries incredibly early, too.
Like India.
Take India, perfect example. Its first full-length feature film, Raja Harishchandra, was made way back in 1913.
1913.
Wow. Yeah, thanks to Dada Saheb Phalke, he's often called the father of Indian cinema.
Okay, 1913. That's just a blink of an eye after the tech first appeared, and Hollywood was just getting started itself.
Exactly.
And just think about where India is today. Your sources confirm it has the largest film industry in the world by sheer volume, right?
By volume, yes. And it's important to remember, it's not just Bollywood and Hindi.
No, there are massive regional industries too.
Huge ones, like Tollywood for Telugu cinema, Kollywood for Tamil films, each with really distinct styles, different audiences. It's incredibly diverse.
And looking elsewhere, Nigeria's Nollywood is highlighted in your sources too.
Yeah.
It's one of the top 3 largest globally by volume as well.
That's right. This rapid sort of independent growth in really diverse places right from the very start. That's a key theme here.
Which leads us perfectly into this idea that movies act as these powerful cultural mirrors. They don't just entertain, they capture the values, the daily struggles, maybe the dreams of the people who make them and watch them.
Yeah, precisely.
Yeah.
And Nollywood is a fantastic case study for that. The sources describe it as an industry built on, well, speed and relatability. Yeah, very fast production cycles, but focusing on themes that are deeply resonant in Nigerian society, family dynamics, the complexities of corruption, faith, romance.
Things that matter locally.
Exactly. And yet their films are consumed and influential far beyond Nigeria's borders too. It's quite amazing.
And you see that kind of cultural impact echoed in other regions your sources touch on, like the explosive global rise of South Korean cinema and K-dramas recently.
Also, definitely. The sources specifically mentioned Parasite, of course.
Right, the Oscar win.
And its Best Picture Oscar win in 2020, it wasn't just an award. It felt like a global moment, didn't it?
It really did.
It shone a spotlight on South Korea's unique storytelling, its sharp social commentary. It showed how a very specific cultural critique could actually resonate universally.
That's a great point. And Japan, too, its enduring cultural power in cinema, especially through anime and films based on manga.
Yes, anime is huge globally. Your sources use Spirited Away as a prime example.
A classic.
Noting how these films, while they might look like stunning fantasies on the surface, often delve into incredibly deep psychological landscapes or environmental themes, reflecting Japanese cultural perspectives, but in a way that's globally accessible.
It's amazing how these stories can feel so specific to where they come from, yet connect with audiences absolutely everywhere.
It truly is.
Now, let's maybe shift gears a bit, because your sources also explore the science angle, which I found completely fascinating. It turns out simply watching a movie does weird and wonderful things to your brain.
It really does, doesn't it? The science pointed to in your sources, it highlights something called mirror neurons.
Mirror neurons, okay.
So when you watch a character experience something on screen, joy, fear, pain, whatever these neurons in your brain fire as if you were experiencing it.
Wow, so that's empathy.
It's essentially the biological basis for empathy, yeah. And it explains why we get so emotionally invested in characters and their journeys, you know?
That absolutely explains why you can feel yourself flinch during an action scene or tear up during a sad moment, even though you're just sitting there with popcorn.
Precisely. It's your brain mirroring the screen. And beyond just empathy, your sources touch on neurochemical reactions, too.
Like adrenaline.
Well, a tense thriller can spike your dopamine levels that gives you that feeling of excitement, anticipation.
Ah.
And horror films are classic examples of triggering adrenaline release. Your brain actually perceives the threat on screen and puts your body into a kind of fight or flight state.
Even though you know it's fake.
Even though you're perfectly safe. Exactly. It's powerful stuff happening subconsciously.
Wild to think all that is going on beneath the surface. Okay, so building on that global spread and the cultural reflection, let's take that cinematic journey outlined in your sources. Let's travel around the world a bit and see some of the distinct flavors of filmmaking out there.
Sounds good. Starting in North America, well, Hollywood remains this colossal economic engine, doesn't it?
Undeniably.
Churning out the high-budget blockbusters. You know, the Marvels, Star Wars, Avatars that tend to dominate global box offices. We're talking tens of billions annually. It's a force driven largely by spectacle and franchise power.
But heading south, Latin America presents a really vibrant counterpoint based on the sources.
Definitely. Countries like Mexico, Brazil, Argentina, they've produced incredibly influential, award-winning cinema.
Your sources mention Alfonso Cuarón's Roma winning Oscars.
That's a great example. It highlights a trend where Latin American films often focus on more intimate stories, social realism, sometimes political commentary, offering perspectives often quite different from the Hollywood mainstream.
Different stories, different focus.
Okay.
Moving across the Atlantic then, Europe is this rich tapestry, isn't it?
It really is diverse. French cinema, for instance, is often celebrated for its artistic approach, its focus on dialogue, complex characters maybe.
The auteur tradition.
Sort of, yeah. Then the UK has a strong tradition in period dramas, but it's also home to massive global franchises like Harry Potter. Italy, historically, gave the world neorealism, that hugely influential post-WWII movement focusing on ordinary people, real-life struggles, often filmed right on location.
Groundbreaking stuff.
Hugely influential. And German cinema, particularly influenced by its 20th century history, often has these deep psychological and philosophical roots. So yeah, it's a really diverse landscape, each area with its unique contribution.
Absolutely. And circling back to Asia now, building on our earlier discussion of India, Japan, South Korea, your sources also touch on China's rapidly expanding market.
Huge market growth there, yes. And its propensity for grand historical epics is notable.
Big production.
Very big. And then you have Iranian cinema, which is globally respected for its unique style, often minimalist, quite philosophical, finding profound depth in seemingly simple stories. Really powerful filmmaking.
And Africa, beyond Nollywood, which we talked about, there's more there too.
Oh yes, Africa has a deep cinematic history as well. Egypt was a dominant force in Arab cinema for decades.
I've read about that.
And countries like Kenya, South Africa, Morocco, they have thriving industries today, frequently blending local oral traditions and history with modern filmmaking techniques. It's a really vibrant scene.
And even down in Oceania, Australia, New Zealand. Maybe smaller markets. But they've punched well above their weight globally, haven't they?
They certainly have. They gave us post-apocalyptic icons like Mad Max.
A personal favorite.
And fantasy epics like The Lord of the Rings. Not to mention major stars who came from there. Their films often leverage their stunning, unique geography, too. The landscape itself becomes almost a character.
That's very true. Okay, so that's the global tour, but what about the future? Your sources seem to discuss the impact of technology quite a bit.
Yes, extensively. Things like AI, CGI, VR, and especially streaming platforms, Netflix, Disney+, Amazon Prime. They are fundamentally changing how movies are made, how they're distributed, and how we consume them.
It feels like it's making cinema more immersive, maybe, with VR and advanced CGI.
Definitely more immersive potential, but also, crucially, more accessible than ever before.
How so?
Well, think about streaming. Anyone with a subscription can watch films from all over the world instantly. And your sources even mention things like OpenAI's Sora.
The AI video generator.
Right, suggesting AI is starting to contribute to creating cinematic video itself. This kind of hints at a future potentially filled with even more personalized, maybe even interactive storytelling experiences. Who knows?
Interactive movies. Interesting.
And the democratization aspect is huge, too. Think about it. The combination of affordable smartphones and global social media platforms.
Means anyone can be a filmmaker now, essentially.
Basically, yeah. Anyone, anywhere with a compelling story and a bit of creativity can shoot a film and potentially reach a global audience. Smaller, independent projects can bypass traditional gatekeepers. They can even go viral. That's a massive shift from how things used to be.
Okay, so let's try and pull all this together. Everything we've discussed from your sources, cinema's surprisingly diverse origins, its evolution as a global phenomenon, how different cultures use it as that mirror we talked about, the scientific impact it has on our brains, which is just fascinating, and the way technology is reshaping its future right now. It becomes incredibly clear that movies are vastly more than just, passive entertainment.
They really are powerful tools for connection and understanding. As your sources highlight, they can educate us.
Yeah.
Think about it. They teach us science through films like Interstellar. They give us a sense of place and geography, like Into the Wild, maybe.
Oh, good example.
And they offer windows into different cultures through films like Slumdog Millionaire or Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon.
They definitely build empathy, too, through that neurological magic we talked about earlier.
Absolutely. And whether you're watching in a classic cinema palace or huddled over a laptop or streaming on your phone on the bus.
It doesn't matter where.
It doesn't. Movies are still one of the most effective ways we connect across diverse cultures and vast continents. They bridge gaps.
So if we connect all those dots then, the unexpected global origins, the diverse cultural expressions worldwide, its very real impact on our brains, and this rapidly accelerating technology that's shaping its future. It does raise a pretty big question, doesn't it?
It does. Considering everything in the sources you shared and these powerful trends we've just discussed, what do you listening think the core experience of watching or maybe even making a movie will truly feel like, let's say, just 10 or 20 years from now?
Yeah. What will that experience be? Definitely something to think about.